Guys, this is our last bit of trig review. You're gonna have to retain this information. Guys, until next week, you have a quiz. There's gonna be a trig problem on it. Next, but not this tomorrow block day, but next week block day. You're gonna have to know the trig. I don't know what else to do for you. So, okay. But let's take a look at these last two. 35 degrees. I'm going to mark that. I look at the right angle and there's nothing on the hypotenuse. 16 is across from the 35, so that's opposite, and x is adjacent. Okay. Which trig function is O and A? TOA, tangent, right? Tan 35 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. I'm really glad that we had one of these because I don't know that we've done one yet that has X on the bottom. I mean, you guys probably have in your homework, but maybe not in class. So there's a bunch of different ways to solve for X. What do you guys usually do? Okay, so there's several different ways. First way is that, so find the decimal for that and then put it over 1 and cross multiply, I think is what you're saying. Another way is to multiply both sides by X and then divide by 16. I mean, I said that wrong. Multiply both sides by X and then divide by tan 35. Other people just had their students memorize that if X is on the bottom, then you do 16 divided by instead of 16 times. I don't care which one of those you do. I'm going to do the algebra way, which is multiply both sides by X. That's how I'm going to show it. I don't actually care though. So don't let me override your brain files. Your brain files are fine. This is just the way I'm going to do it for demonstration purposes. So because just like this one, I multiply both sides by 20. This one, I multiply both sides by X and I get X times tan 35 equals 16. This is not the final answer though, because the goal is to get X by itself. So divide by tan 35. These, if you do it this way, it takes 2 steps instead of 1. I don't care how you get there, as long as on the quiz, your final answer is 16 divided by tan 35. If you write me X equals 16 divided by tan 35, that's full credit. I don't care how you got there. You can memorize that it's division. That's fine. I'm not going to penalize you for that. I just need you to know that it's division, not multiplication. Okay. And then here, 16 divided by tan 35, 22.9. All right, last one, angles marked. 13 is the hypotenuse. 9 is opposite. Isn't it exciting that we don't have cosine today? This one is so. Sine theta, again, you can use X there if you don't like theta, equals opposite over hypotenuse. Theta equals sine inverse 9 over 13. That's your final answer for the quiz. Fine, inverse 9 divided by 13, 43.8 degrees. Any questions about 2 or 4, either of the warm-ups? Anything about trig whatsoever? Okay, now if you guys could look at last night's homework real quick. I'm extra special. There's another typo in the key. Okay, it was supposed to be +2 on number 3, not -2. Just in the fact that I like to keep things actually correct. You can fix that if you like. Hopefully you guys trusted yourselves enough to know that it was +2 and that Mrs. Talbot is capable of some interesting typing. There's seriously no one else in the world to blame. Okay, in my defense, when you make this type of problem, this is not in CUDA. So I have to copy and paste this, copy and paste this, revise this. I have to add a graph. I have to add the type of graph, and then I have to add the coordinate points. And you have to do that all separately just to make one problem. And so anyway, and I remember sending Miss Rice like all of these Google chat messages being like, this is so tedious. I want to be done so bad. How many of these do we actually need? Like complaining up a storm. I probably complained so much that I screwed it up. But anyway, okay. So that is that. I don't think you guys need your packet at all anymore today. You guys can put that away. Do you have any questions though on homework? Gio, can I come stamp you real quick? Can I just say one completely unrelated to math thing? I'm so excited to be able to wear like a long sleeve shirt today. Just saying, I'm so excited. I looked at the weather, I was like, high 71. I can wear like an outfit that's not meant for like 1,000 degrees. Hi. Are you excited too about the fact that it's not gonna be 1,000 degrees today? You guys okay? Okay, just checking. It is late. Just want to check that we're saying right. Okay, so while you're finishing this up, this is a confession. Remember the first problem you did on your team test?
No, not that.
Okay, so it was a negative parabola. I asked you to find x and y intercepts, describe increasing and decreasing, graph it, domain and range, whether or not it was a function. You didn't love it. I saw a lot of unhappy faces. To be completely honest with you on that problem, we wanted you to practice diamond and box, but sort of a pre-problem for this. So you doing that team test problem in your team is now going to make this lesson for me a lot easier. This is, it's math 2 again, but it's the long way. I'm not going to do this problem this way after we talk about complete the square. You guys remember about complete the square?
Yeah.
So after we do that at the end of chapter 2, I'm probably not going to do this long way again. But some of you will like it, and this will get you to where you need to go if you don't like that complete the square. So I'm trying to give you options here for whatever math you prefer. Okay, so starting right off the top, can anyone tell me the y-intercept? No math, no nothing, just looking at it. Can you tell me the y-intercept? Negative 30, beautiful. Okay, so we're going to note that first. Why are we noting that right now? Well, because I'm going to put it into graphing form. And when it's in graphing form, I'm not going to very easily be able to spot the y-intercept. I can now while it's in standard form. I want to say these words a lot, standard form and graphing form, so that you guys know exactly where we're at. Okay, now x-intercepts. For x-intercepts, and this should be review, I'm hoping. You want y to be 0. How many of this type of problem did we do in chapter 1? Would you describe it as, say, a plethora, a boatload, a large amount, a pile? We did a lot of these. Okay, so anybody see anything about this particular problem that needs to be addressed? Yes, Jacob. Beautiful. Okay, has a greatest common factor of 2. Now, can I divide by 2 is the question. Am I allowed to divide by 2? Yeah. Okay. Anybody know why I'm allowed? True. That's the first requirement. What's the second requirement? Yeah, it's an equation this time. I can't divide if it's not an equation. So x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. You see where this is going? Okay. I just got verbal confirmation that you see where this is going. Oh, Mrs. Talbot, you didn't pick too bad of a diamond today. What is it? Beautiful. You guys packed your extra math brains today. I see it. Beautiful, beautiful. I hear you. Just in case you, Mr. DeMesa, you're wondering why I'm not speaking, they have this pretty well mastered. As a matter of fact, I'm probably showing too much work, but that's fine. Okay. Question, do you feel like if you had an equation like this, you could find the y-intercept?
Yes.
And if it was easily factorable, you could find the x-intercept? Sure, Mr. Probit. Okay, so let's graph those. -5, 3. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to do some mind gymnastics. And remember, what did we do after that on our team test? Oh, okay, hold that thought. There's one step in between this and that. What? Well, okay. Remember what we said yesterday when we were graphing parabolas and we were talking about how we could be lazy with the table. Why do we get to be lazy with the table?
It's one the same and two the same.
It starts with S, so it starts with S. Symmetrical. Beautiful. Okay. So because we know the parabola is symmetrical, we can find the middle with the x-intercepts. And so I'm going to ask you to reach back into that team test. The x-intercepts were 2 and 4, right? And so you guys said, okay, so the middle has to be 3. And you could do that one easily in your head, but let's talk about how to do that with math. Or you guys, he's here to evaluate me, not you. I saw you guys do this informally on your team test, which I liked because you used your previous knowledge and common sense to say, okay, the middle of that thing has to be 3. But you didn't say to yourselves necessarily, let me average the x-intercepts to determine the axis of symmetry. That's okay. So x equals 3 plus -5 divided by 2. Which is -2 divided by 2, which is -1. Okay, an axis of symmetry is not an asymptote. Let me say that again. An axis of symmetry is not an asymptote. You actually have to go through the axis of symmetry. We do represent it with a dashed line, kind of like an asymptote though. Okay, now we're going to go to Connor's idea, which was to plug it in. and I'm gonna take the thing in the box and I'm gonna plug it in for x into the original. So y equals 2 times -1 squared plus 4 times -1 minus 30. This is -32. We're almost done with the problem. Before we move on, graph your -1, -32 vertex, and then can you guys get the fifth point? Do you know how to get the fifth point from the points you have? Where does there have to be another point? We have the one in the middle right there. That's the middle. Let me zoom in. Okay, there's a point here. This is the middle. There's the x-intercepts. I also have, that would be the case if A was 1, but A is 2 in this case. I'm looking for that. It's the same answer to the question I asked Gio a few minutes ago. Exactly. You use symmetry, you just fold it over. Fold it over. We didn't actually answer the question from the problem. Oh, we did a lot of really good stuff. All of the math we did was beautiful. It's wonderfully gorgeous. However, we didn't actually answer the question. The question was going from standard form to graphing form the long way. We have all the info we need though. So let me remind you, graphing form is y equals a x minus h squared plus k. All we have to do is take the math that we did and put it into graphing form. The first thing I need to ask you is, what is A for this problem? 2. You can find A immediately. If you want to make yourself a little note, the coefficient of x squared is A. Whether or not it's in standard form or graphing form, it doesn't matter. You can get the A, like you wouldn't have to do any math there. If I asked you for A, you just take 2. Just like I said, what's the y-intercept? You said -30. No math needed there. Okay, however, we did all this beautiful stuff with the h and k. We have 2x. Okay, now do you see how h is -1 for the vertex? So that means that we're going to have +1 in the parentheses. Do you need me to show the minus and negative, or do you get it? Okay, squared, and then k is -32. Okay, before we move on, this is not requirement of the problem. I just want to check for understanding from yesterday. If I ask you to describe the transformations in words for this parabola, start with K, what would this be? Shift down 32, left 1,
Yeah.
vertically stretched by a factor of 2. Make sure you got all the words in there, vertically stretched by a factor of 2. Okay. All right. I want you guys to do A in your groups. You do not need to graph it. Let me say that again. You don't need to graph it. You don't need to graph it. You don't need to graph it. I just want you to find the y-intercept, find the x-intercepts, average the x-intercepts to find the axis of symmetry, plug it in to find the vertex, and put it in graphing form. You understand what I'm saying there, the words of which I'm speaking? Okay. Follow all the steps. You just don't have to graph it. Don't take up the space for that. You're just doing the algebra. You also don't have to write all the words out. Yes.
Does f of x mean y?
Yes. I'm going to use those interchangeably, so. You guys can talk to each other. Put the answer up at the very bottom. Your job is to go from the beginning to the end. You get stuck on the diamond, it's -8 and -2. I don't care about spending time on the diamond. If you finish A, you can try B if you like. There's a negative in front, which makes it right here.
Yeah.
So we have an excellent question here. For B, your choices are, you can factor out a -1 at the beginning if you want to, or you can just brute force diamond and box it the way it is. It is diamond boxable the way it is. It works. Or if you don't like that, you can factor out a -1 at the beginning and then just put that -1 back in at the end. Those are your options. It's whatever you prefer. All right, when you're done with this, you can work on your homework. I actually have a joke for you also. Would you like to see it?
Yes.
Real quick, and then I'll put this back up.
Absolutely.
I really like today's joke. I also wanted to use it to confirm that we met our objectives for the day. Just making sure that we did what we were supposed to do. Okay. Did we do standard to graphing for? Yes. Did we have productive struggle in groups? Yes. Homework is 4 problems, 7, 9, 11, and 12. And there's my joke. Perfect example of parabola graph of the function f of x equals -x squared is the guy's mustache.
Pretty awesome.
Someone just went home from school that day and was like, Dad, your mustache is -x squared. And he was like, I'm sorry, what are you saying? And then he was grouchy. And then they took that photo. This is what I'm assuming happened.